During the construction of the world's deepest diving pool in Deep Dive Dubai, when a 45-meter tunnel had already been dug into the ground, an unusual problem suddenly blocked the path of the engineering team. It was discovered that in Poland, a diving pool called Deep Spot had already opened, and its depth was also exactly 45 meters. Now, obviously, if Dubai wanted to claim the world record for the deepest pool, they would have to increase its depth from 45 meters to 60 meters. But this task, which sounded simple at first, was extremely difficult to execute. Experts calculated that if the pool's depth was extended to 60 meters, the pressure from groundwater could easily push the entire structure upward. This is exactly like placing a filled water bottle into a pond. It floats on the surface because of buoyant force as the surrounding water pushes it upward from below. In the same way, the entire pool could potentially lift out of the ground at any moment. At this stage of construction, Dubai's dream of building the world's deepest pool seemed like it was about to collapse. But then, one idea changed everything. Welcome back once again to Nobel's Creation. Viewers, when it comes to setting world records, the first name that comes to mind is Dubai. With 425 Guinness World Records, Dubai currently ranks #1 across the Middle East, and it feels like Dubai's rulers are not willing to lose that position at any cost. Another addition to this library of world records came at the request of Dubai's Crown Prince, Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum. Today, the world knows it as Deep Dive Dubai. Deep Dive Dubai is not just a swimming pool, it is a strange and fascinating world of its own. With a depth of 197 feet, or 60 meters, it is the deepest diving pool in the world. This pool contains approximately 14 million liters of water. That is as much water as 6 Olympic-sized swimming pools, or the amount used by 90,000 people in an entire day. Inside this pool, a sunken city theme has been created, where divers experience something that was once impossible to even imagine. To keep the pool water clean, with the help of NASA, a special system has been designed that filters all 14 million liters of water every 6 hours. Whether the outside temperature is 50 degrees Celsius or 20 degrees, the pool water is always maintained at 30 degrees for the comfort of divers. But here, we're more interested in the construction techniques of Deep Dive Dubai, rather than its features. Because according to the engineering community, this deepest pool in Dubai is nothing short of an engineering miracle. What kinds of challenges did engineers face during the construction of Deep Dive Dubai? Without wasting any time, let's take a closer look. The very first challenge was planning and design. Crown Prince Sheikh Hamdan wanted a design that could reflect the cultural values of Dubai. Before oil and tourism, pearl diving used to be a major profession in Dubai. Professional divers would jump into the open sea without any scuba gear, searching for seashells and extracting pearls from them to sell. At one time, a large portion of Dubai's economy depended on pearl diving. Keeping this idea in mind, Deep Dive Dubai was designed in the shape of a seashell. A shell that, from a distance, looks like an open seashell lying on the seashore. But that was just the outer facade. Now, the real decision was how to build the world's deepest diving pool inside it. Architects and engineers from all over the world were invited to present realistic ideas for this project. The easiest approach was to construct a strong building 45 meters tall and fill it with water. But this idea had a major problem. Yes, the pool would be 45 meters deep, but to qualify for the world record, it had to be built underground, not above ground. Secondly, Dubai is an extremely hot city. If the pool was built above ground inside a structure, the external heat could affect the internal environment of the pool. Dubai's crown prince wanted a pool whose design and depth would both become a topic of discussion around the world. That's when the decision was made to excavate the world's deepest diving pool underground. A vertical shaft would be dug into the ground instead of a horizontal one. And from here began a completely new challenge: excavation. The engineering team's challenge was to dig a shaft that would be 65 feet wide and 147 feet deep. This shaft not only had to be excavated, but also required a strong boundary wall to prevent it from collapsing. In engineering terms, this wall is called a diaphragm wall. To complete this task, a specialized excavator was brought in. With the help of this machine, a trench as wide as a pillar was dug down to a depth of 147 feet. Then, a steel cage was inserted into it and concrete was poured. Using this same method, the diaphragm wall was constructed in small sections all around. This entire process alone took more than 2 months to complete. After that, the actual excavation work began. The plan was to excavate in stages of 5 meters at a time, going all the way down to 45 meters, which was the depth of the diaphragm wall. But after excavating just the first 5 meters, a new challenge was already waiting: dealing with groundwater. After the diaphragm wall had been built and excavation began, groundwater started appearing at just 8 meters below the surface. Now, because the diaphragm wall had been constructed in separate sections, small gaps existed between them. Through these gaps, groundwater easily started flowing into the tunnel and began accumulating inside it. Without managing this groundwater, continuing the excavation was impossible. To deal with this issue, pumps were installed that continuously removed the water, while excavation work continued alongside it. For the next 2 years, excavation continued, and throughout this entire time, the pumps kept running non-stop. For Deep Dive Dubai, a total of 45,000 tons of soil, sand, and rock debris was removed. After excavation was completed, when the pumps were turned off, water once again began filling the tunnel. In this situation, it became necessary to properly waterproof the diaphragm wall first. Over the next several months, waterproofing of the diaphragm wall was carried out. Only after that were the water pumps finally turned off. The diaphragm wall construction, excavation, and groundwater waterproofing together took more than 3 years to complete. By now, the engineering team was already significantly behind schedule. Every single day had become extremely valuable. But during this time, a new problem suddenly arose in the construction process of Deep Dive Dubai: a design change. At the point when the diaphragm wall had been completed, excavation was done, and groundwater had been managed. Right at that moment, news arrived that near Warsaw, the capital of Poland, a deep diving pool called Deep Spot had already opened. And its depth was also exactly 45 meters, or 147 feet. This news hit the entire project team like a bolt of lightning, because all the effort they had put in so far was aimed at achieving a world record. Normally, in projects like these, most details are kept secret, and something similar happened in this case as well. When Dubai's crown prince, Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, found out about this, he requested that the depth of Deep Dive Dubai be increased further so the world record could still be secured. But here, there was a serious problem, because groundwater was present from just 8 meters below the surface all the way down to 45 meters. This meant that groundwater would push upward against the entire pool from below. This force is known as buoyant force. Engineers had already calculated this force and planned to counter it using the weight of the water inside the pool. And those calculations were based on a depth of 45 meters. But if the depth was increased by another 15 meters, then obviously the buoyant force would also increase significantly. And it was entirely possible that the entire pool, along with the diaphragm wall, could rise out of the ground. Because of this issue, the entire construction work came to a halt. Finding a solution to this problem as quickly as possible had become absolutely critical. After extensive research, a solution was finally found. First, it was decided that an additional 15 meters of excavation would be carried out in the tunnel. But the diameter of these extra 15 meters would be nearly half of the diameter of the original 45-meter section. This would reduce the area affected by the buoyant force. And secondly, an under-reamed base would be constructed beneath the tunnel. An under-reamed base is a technique in which an anchor-like structure is embedded deep into the ground beneath the foundation. Just like an anchor holds an entire ship in place, this under-reaming would hold the entire structure firmly to the ground. Using this method, the depth of Deep Dive Dubai was extended from 45 meters to 60 meters, and once again, the project became eligible for the Guinness World Record. But the problems were still not over. As time continued to pass, keeping a 60-meter deep tunnel empty without water became extremely dangerous, because canceling out the buoyant force was only possible with the water inside the pool. If it was left empty for too long, the entire structure could rise due to groundwater pressure. Now it was time to fill the pool with 14 million liters of water. But the problem was that Dubai's water supply authority could only provide a limited amount of water. At that rate, it would take nearly 3 months to fill the entire pool. To meet the deadline and speed up the process, along with the Dubai Water Authority supply, more than 100 water tankers were brought in. You can estimate the massive scale of Deep Dive Dubai from the fact that even with all this, it still took 1 full month to fill the pool. Here, it's important to mention that before filling it with water, the entire sunken city theme had already been constructed inside. Only after that was the water added. Even after filling the pool, many new challenges appeared. For example, some materials started to rust, and some objects began to float after the water was added. To fix this, holes were drilled into those items, and extra weight was added so they would stay submerged. After completing all the finishing work, Deep Dive Dubai was first opened to special guests in 2021, and then it was opened to the general public in 2022. The total cost of Deep Dive Dubai has still been kept secret by the Dubai government, because in their view, this is a priceless project.
So, what do you think about this incredible project? Be sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Hopefully, you will like and share this video. We'll meet again in the next amazing video.